This is RealAgriculture.com Seedpod, the podcast that gives you insight into the Canadian seed industry. Shaun Haney here with RealAgriculture.com for our Seed Podcast, brought to you by BioVision.
Seed Quality Diagnostics at BioVision Seed Labs. We have an eye for accuracy and are dedicated to timeliness. We partner with clients to support their seed quality testing through responsive customer service, reliable results, and leading-edge services. You need the best analysis team working for your fast-paced seed company. Germination, purity, vigor, and disease testing is BioVision's expertise. So let's grow together.
I'm at Grow Canada, and who did I run into but Trevor Nysetvold, the CEO of BioVision Seed Labs.
Hi, Shaun.
Hey, Trevor, good to have you here. So we just heard Brian Mulrooney. That was good.
That was awesome.
Yeah. It's I think a lot of us dream to be a quality of a public speaker that he is.
Yeah, it's always interesting. It's always interesting listening to people who are passionate talk about different topics.
Well, you're passionate, obviously, about seed. So harvest is done in the West. Crops off. Any early indications of what you guys are seeing coming into the lab?
Yeah, we've seen some relatively good quality come into the lab, but we are getting a little bit more of the extremes than we saw last year. Excuse me. Last year was very good quality overall. This year we're starting to see where there's more dormancy, there's more disease pressure, there's things that are adversely affecting quality this year.
Yeah, and you didn't mention fusarium, and I imagine that is not very good either.
No, well, it's almost one that you don't have to mention anymore because it's just there.
It's a given. Yeah, we laugh, but it's not very funny.
No, it's not funny at all.
So, why dormancy?
Well, it's strictly due to the harvest conditions. So if that seed hasn't had time to fully mature, then we're going to have a tough time getting it to grow in the lab. And it's a dormancy issue. It's something we got to solve in the lab, and we are seeing it. It's not unique to see it in the fall. It's actually quite common, but it's showing up predominantly in some barley and in the oats that we're seeing.
Okay, so I get my seed tested. I get back like a 60% germ. Mm-hmm. Should I assume dormancy right away and not push too much of a panic button?
No, I wouldn't assume dormancy. I would be paying attention more to the number, not necessarily the 60, but the other 40. What is that other 40%? And if it says that dormancy is suspected, or if it's fresh seed or hard seed, whatever, then yes, you can assume dormancy, and you can talk to the lab and see what steps should be taken. Yeah.
So you've been at this for a while.
I have.
You have been, yeah. You've forged a lot of the trail here. Have you seen the attitude about seed testing change over time?
Yeah, we have. We're in a business that has been replicated on fridges in farmers.
Right.
In farmers' houses.
The do-it-yourself seed testing for dummies.
The do-it-yourself seed testing, yeah, exactly. But what we're saying is, if we're given the opportunity to talk to our clients and we're given the opportunity to demonstrate what exactly goes into a test, even a simple germination test, it's actually quite a scientific procedure. And there's more things to look at than just does it grow, yes or no. And just as everything agriculture has become more complicated, so has the testing that's going to be required in order to get that seed to market.
So a lot of times in ag we talk about technology, and we focus on the farm level, what farmers are going to be doing to produce that crop. What about from a seed testing standpoint? Obviously there is a lot of technology involved, but where is it headed?
Well, technology actually it's interesting. I think we're going to see a speaker here later this afternoon talking about genomics and how cheap it's become to do that high level genomic type work. Well, we're starting to see that in testing. The testing now has become cheaper, it's become more sensitive, it's become quicker.
Yeah.
And so what we really have to be careful of is that we're applying the testing properly, that we're testing in the right spots in the value chain, and that really the results that we're giving have value to the client.
Well, whether it's seed or even grain exports, we talk about low-level presence and things like that. When the accuracy of testing becomes so sensitive.
Yeah.
Some of those old tolerances or acceptable levels get challenged.
That's right. And what the sensitivity and the accuracy of testing does bring out too is it brings out the weaknesses in the other parts of the system, such as sampling. If the sample's not drawn properly, if you have the most accurate and sensitive test on the planet, it's not going to matter, or it's going to skew the results one way or the other, right? So it's really exposed weaknesses in the other part of the system, whereas testing may have been the bottleneck in days past. It's not anymore. We can do it quick, we can do it cheap, we can do it anywhere. So there's other things in the system to be looked at, and quite frankly, Shaun, in a lot of cases, there has to be an understanding of testing because there can be too much testing, for sure.
Yeah, right. So, but you mentioned sampling. That seems like the easiest part of the whole process. Why are we still screwing that up? How can we screw that up?
Well, it's. I'm not saying we're screwing it up, but it's something that's taken for granted as being just an easy process. We just participated in a 4-day workshop put on by the International Seed Testing Association on just drawing a sample. The equipment required, how many replicates, where do you draw the sample from? I mean, you think of a 5,000 bushel bin out on a farmer's field, and you want to take a sample that represents, you want to take a bag full of seed, say a 1 pound or 2 pound bag full of seed that represents that whole bin.
Yeah.
How are you going to do that?
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
Are you just going to go take a mittful out of the door? Nope.
Probably shouldn't.
Are you going to go take another scoop at the top? Nope.
What do you mean? I pulled it out the top and the bottom.
Yeah.
It's got to be.
Yeah.
In the middle is all the same.
Yeah.
Don't worry about it. But whether that's seed or grain test, or your grain sample you're trying to sell, that sample is so critical.
Absolutely.
And I think sometimes people jump to the, I'm showing you the best, and assuming that's representative of the whole lot, but it can work the other way for you.
Absolutely.
You grab from the front and the top, that may be the worst, just by chance.
Yep.
That is not representative of how actually good the rest of that bin is.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. Yeah. That's exactly right. So you want that uniformity in the sample. You want it to be representative of the lot of seed that you're selling, however big that is.
Is this a Canadian problem, or is this
no.
international?
This is international. This is across the board.
Yeah.
And it doesn't matter. And as a laboratory, you start talking to medical and you start talking to pharmaceutical and things.
Right.
It's the same thing. It's all about the sample.
Yeah. And we talk about technology. From the time that BioVision started, how old is BioVision now?
18 years.
18 years.
Yeah.
Time goes fast.
Yeah.
The technology you're using in the lab, I'm sure, is somewhat still the same, but there have been huge advancements in what you're able to do.
There has, and we've tried to be on the leading edge of technology to the point that we can afford it, I guess. And but when you drill down, a lot of it still comes down to that qualified person,
right,
that is operating that piece of equipment. We can automate steps that we couldn't automate 10, 15 years ago, no question. But the evaluation and the analysis and the understanding of the physiology of the seed or whatever quality parameter we're looking at still comes down to a professionally trained person.
Yeah. Well, as we mentioned, we just heard Prime Minister Brian Mulroney speak at Grow Canada. He talked about Canada needs to have a Wayne Gretzky model, right? So where you need to know where the puck is going. So in terms of seed testing in a seed lab, you really need to be aware of the cutting edge in terms of what is the next test that we are going to be able to do to benefit our clients. Well, that's got to be a huge challenge.
It is a huge challenge, and the next test is important, but also how do we modify and adapt current testing procedures? If you just think of looking at a seed through a microscope and how much that has changed in 15 years, We're just in the process of acquiring some technology out of Denmark that's going to allow us to do that on a big flat screen TV versus looking through two microscope lenses, right? Take your glasses off, focus in on the microscope, and look. We're going to be able to do it on a big flat screen TV, properly lit. It'll be a three-dimensional picture, all of those things. So it's also the modification of current methods that's important as well.
Well, Trevor, I want to thank you for joining us today, and I also want to thank you for being the sponsor of the Seed Podcast on RealAgriculture.com. It's going to be brought to you by BioVision Seed Labs the whole winter, and I really appreciate it.
It's our pleasure. We enjoy working with RealAgriculture.com. We appreciate what you do.
Cheers. Well, enjoy the rest of Grow Canada.
Thanks, Sean.